Tonight, how a local casino is dealing with flooding from the Ohio. And Murfreesboro mayor releases a new comprehensive plan meant to guide the city through the next several years. Plus, a new church opens in an old Murfreesboro building. We have those stories and more tonight on a Monday night edition of News 24 at 10.
Live, Little Egypt's breaking news source. This is News 24 at 10.
And good evening. Thanks for joining us. We have a lot of news to get to tonight, but we begin with the weather, where snow could affect us tomorrow. Here's News 24's Terry Rodriguez in with the latest. All right, thanks, Terry. And floodwater from the Ohio River is impacting many spots in Metropolis, including the Harrah's Casino and Hotel. The casino closed for business today due to rising floodwaters. Public relations specialist for Harrah's, Chad Lewis, says he is numb to the situation because it's something that happens at least once a year. The parking lot is covered in floodwater, but the facility still doesn't have any water damage yet. Still, this closure is affecting the casino's bottom line. Other parts of Metropolis are also flooded, which is forcing road closures in Fort Massac Park. Director of Public Safety for Metropolis, Harry Mazzei, says parts of the park have already been closed for a week. Massac Creek is also overflowing and now covers multiple soccer and baseball fields. The Metropolis Sports Park is about a mile away from the river, but the creek runs through the middle of it. Since Metropolis businesses like the casino aren't shocked when it floods, employees make the most of it. Lewis says they will continue to monitor river levels to determine when the casino can reopen. Murfreesboro mayor has released a new comprehensive plan meant to guide the city through the next several years. The last time Murfreesboro officials put together a plan for the future was 1966. Mayor Bill Stevens says they haven't made many changes since then. With the help of a grant from Wells Fargo, the city began crafting a new plan with input from residents. And those responses guided the creation of Murfreesboro 2031, a comprehensive plan for the city of Murfreesboro, Illinois. The plan calls for several things: an improved downtown, promoting Murfreesboro as a tourist destination, embracing history, improving infrastructure citywide, encouraging businesses and workforce development programs, and to have more programs for kids. Mayor Stevens says it's not a major departure from previous plans, but one key difference is the emphasis on healthy activities like exploring the city's lakes, parks, and forests. Stevens says he is confident the city can afford what it hopes to accomplish in the years to come. A new church plans to move into a historic building in downtown Murfreesboro. The Murfreesboro American newspaper had its office at the corner of 14th and Walnut for decades until it closed in 2015. Now organizers behind the real church are in the process of buying the property. Organizers have been holding services at the Liberty Theater since they started in October. Pastor Noah Fritsch says they accept members of any denomination. Mayor Will Stevens says he's glad to see something moving into the building, especially since it's been vacant for the last few years. Fritsch said the purchase hasn't been finalized yet. He also said there's quite a bit of work to renovate the building, but by then he hopes to have it up and running by fall. More information about the church can be found at www.realchurch.info. The mass shooting in Aurora raises concerns about how a criminal could still get a firearm legally. While a firearm owner's identification card, or FOID, makes it more difficult, experts admit the system is not foolproof. Revoking the card doesn't always end with a weapon confiscated. Illinois State Police explained why Gary Martin's FOID card application didn't trigger a warning of his felony in Mississippi. Martin lied on his application, saying he had never been convicted of a felony and wasn't required to submit fingerprints to get a FOID card. Months later, when he applied for a concealed carry permit, he did have to submit fingerprints, and that's when police revoked his FOID card and sent him a letter. But 5 years later, Martin still had his weapon and used it to fatally shoot 5 of his co-workers. Dave Kemp is a longtime police officer and the owner of Tombstone Gun Range and Training Center. He explained FOID card holders must pass a background check, but the law doesn't require police to ensure weapons have been removed if there are concerns later. Kemp says he expects charges in the wake of the Aurora warehouse shooting. The Illinois State Rifle Association reports when a FOID card is issued, the card holder is run through the FBI's background check system every 24 hours. Much more local news, sports, and weather is coming up next on News 24 at 10, but first, here's a look at your national headlines. Fox News update.
In Fox News. Lawsuits and protests. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. The attorneys general of 16 states joining forces in a lawsuit against President Trump's emergency declaration to fund the border wall.
Protests were called for across the country by the liberal group MoveOn.org. In Atlanta, ACLU's legal director, Sean Young, said the president's throwing a tantrum because Congress won't give him the money he wants for a wall.
And that's why I am proud to announce that this week, the ACLU will be filing a lawsuit against the President of the United States.
The president says this emergency will free up $8 billion to build over 230 miles of wall.
Fox's Jessica Rosenthal. Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein expected to leave his post by mid-March. That's according to a senior Justice Department official. This as President Trump rips former FBI Director Andrew McCabe for comments he made on a televised interview that aired yesterday.
The president tweeting there is a lot of explaining to do to the millions of people who had just elected a president who they really like and who has done a great job for them with the military, vets, economy, and so much more. This was the illegal and treasonous insurance policy in full action. The president reacting to an interview that aired on CBS's 60 Minutes, in which former FBI acting director Andrew McCabe claimed that Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein brought up the possibility that the 25th Amendment could be invoked to remove President Trump from office.
Fox's John Decker at the White House. Authorities in Michigan say 3 children and a woman were found dead of apparent gunshot wounds at a house near Cedar Springs, about 30 miles north of Grand Rapids. Teachers in West Virginia said to walk the picket line tomorrow over an education bill they say is in retaliation for a 9-day walkout they staged last year. This is Fox News.
Stop.
At Don Luna, we take pride in our food made fresh daily. Taste our fresh enchiladas, tortas, or nachos today. Visit one of our 3 locations in Marion, West Frankfort, or Harrisburg. Don Luna, fresh, fast, and good.
The President's Day sale is going on now at Watermark Nissan of Marion. Like this new 2019 Sentra for only $17,634, or this all-new 19 Ultima for just $21,915. And as always, the sale prices are clearly marked on all our vehicles at NissanofMarion.com.
I'm Mike Absher, and I invite you to experience the Watermark difference for yourself. Quality and integrity mean everything to us, and together we are changing the car business one great customer experience at a time. So give a Watermark dealership a shot, and you will not regret it.
Experience the best pizza in Southern Illinois, the best salads around the region, and the best beverages all day long. Come in to dine or carry out today at Southern Illinois' #1 pizza restaurant.
Come in, sit down, take the best around, but stay at home and pick up the phone. Call 549-5326. Quattro Deep Pan Pizza.
Only Verizon was ranked #1 by RootMetrics. #1 in 3 Open Signal Mobile Experience Awards. #1 in video streaming according to Nielsen. And #1 in network quality according to J.D. Power. And that's why the only network to win in all 4 major awards is the one more people rely on. Experience America's most reliable network on the best device, iPhone. Get iPhone XR on us when you buy another, and Apple Music on us too.
There's no question about it. La Fiesta is the #1 Mexican restaurant around the region. We offer burritos, chimichangas, enchiladas, express lunch options, fajitas, salads, nachos, quesadillas, salsa guacamole and queso dips, tacos, and more. La Fiesta Authentic Mexican Grill. This is one of our great 3 locations in West Frankfort, Marion, or Benton today. See you tomorrow.
Trade out time. Going on now at Black Diamond RV Superstore. Bring in that old camper of yours and get up to full retail on your trade. Don't miss this opportunity. Only at Black Diamond RV Superstore. Spend more time enjoying the outdoors this summer with your family and friends in a new travel trailer, fifth wheel, or toy hauler. Trade out time. And up to full retail value for your trade. Only at Black Diamond RV Superstore. Come join the outdoor party.
This News 24 weather report is brought to you by Don Sol Mexican Grill. It's different. It's better. Come in today.
All right, thanks, Terry. Many are concerned that humans may be impacted by the zombie deer disease, which is spreading across the country, now in nearly half the states, including Illinois and Missouri. According to the CDC, the disease, which is formerly known as chronic wasting disease, is a progressive, fatal disease that affects the brain, spinal cord, and many other tissues of farmed or free-ranging deer, elk, and moose. As of January 2019, CWD in free-ranging deer, elk, and or moose has been reported in at least 24 states in the continental U.S., as well as 2 provinces in Canada. There are no vaccines or treatments available for the disease, which is always fatal. That is why many are concerned that it may be transferred to humans. No cases of CWD have been reported in humans to date, but research suggests it poses a risk to humans. Illinois Attorney General Kwame Raoul today joined a lawsuit led by California Attorney General Xavier Becerra and filed in the U.S. District Court for the Northern District of California, challenging President Trump's declaration of a national emergency and his attempt to divert funding appropriated by Congress for other purposes. All the states involved in the lawsuit have Democratic attorney generals. Trump declared an emergency on Friday to shift billions of dollars to the wall after Congress wouldn't approve the amount he wanted. The lawsuit alleges he's manufacturing a crisis and that his declaration is an unconstitutional and unlawful scheme. The 16 states involved seek to block the administration's emergency declaration, the unauthorized construction of the border wall, and any illegal diversion of congressionally appropriated funds. The complaint alleges that the administration's action declaring a national emergency due to a purported border crisis is unlawful and unconstitutional. Raoul and the coalition argue that the alleged crisis is an attempt to justify redirecting congressionally appointed funds to pay to build a wall along the southern border after Congress refused to appropriate funding. The other states filing suit include California, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Hawaii, Maine, Maryland, Michigan, Minnesota, Nevada, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, Oregon, and Virginia. It's easy to stay home and relax when a holiday falls on a Monday, but a handful of volunteers gave back to the community this President's Day by cleaning up William Marbury Optorium. One of these volunteers is Alan Jaskowitz, a recent SIU graduate who studied forestry. She's been volunteering with Keep Carbondale Beautiful since her freshman year at SIU. Jaskowitz, along with a few others, picked up the trash scattered around the park and the surrounding area near the intersection of South Wall Street and East Pleasant Hill. Sarah Heyer, Keep Carbondale Beautiful's executive director, says this area is difficult to keep litter-free. Heyer organized the event just to make a little progress. However, Jaskowitz does have a few tips on how you can prevent litter from piling up. The next litter pickup is Sunday, March 3rd at Carbondale's Town Square Pavilion. Volunteers are always welcome to help. News 24 Sports is next. You're listening to News 24 at 10.
Oh my God, Becky, look at that crust!
At Pizza Hut, we're the ultimate cheesy crust, with 16 pockets overflowing with melted cheese.